right. I'd like to call the Tuesday, October 6th meeting of the St. Joseph County Board of Commissioners to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
Flags,
United States of America, and to the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your blessings and help as we are gathered together. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand, and we ask that you clearly show us how to conduct our efforts with spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our service. Help us all to work together. We ask that we encourage each other to reach higher and farther to be the best we can be. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. All right, first item on the agenda, the opening and reading of bids. It appears there are none. Moving to reports and requests, first from the accounts payable docket. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have motion and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have appointments to the St. Joseph County Airport Authority Board. I will now open nominations.
There's a nomination for Mr. David Sage.
Second the nomination.
We have a motion, a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I will close the nominations. All those in favor of reappointing David Sage to the St. Joseph County Airport Authority Board, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Next, County Police request approval of MOU for the 2020 Burn Justice Assistant Grant JAG Program Award.
Commissioner Castelli, there is nobody here from the Sheriff's Department, but I believe we realize this is a kind of an annual renewal of this grant. This spells out the relationship between South Bend and the County PD regarding the
Right.
allocation of the grant for purchase of equipment, mutual aid, shared assistance, and staff achieving goals that are beneficial to all county residents and in many cases the city residents of South Bend.
Yeah, and then they said too, they will get a reimbursement of $7,341, so.
Commissioners, Major Noonan from Executive Officer. I am on the call if you have any
hi.
questions.
I'm sorry, go ahead,
Good.
sir. State your name and address for the record.
Stephen Noonan, office is 401 West Sample Street, Executive Officer to the Sheriff.
Please add whatever comments you'd like to make.
It's just the same MOU. It's been in place for several years. It's just spells out the language, and then, as Commissioner Fleming said, the reimbursement on the equipment that we would purchase. Currently, we're going through a reimbursement from a previous grant for $12,300 for some video cameras that are going in new squad cars. That's an example of what we use the grant money for.
Good.
If there are no more questions or comments, is there a motion?
A motion to approve the Memorandum of Understanding for the 2020 Burn Justice Assistant Grant Program Award.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next, request approval of jail medical malpractice insurance.
Here he comes.
Steve Augustino, attorney, 131 South Taylor Street. So before you is a proposal for providing medical malpractice insurance in connection with the medical services provided at St. Joseph County Jail. Quick refresher, we took on the medical care for inmates at the jail last year. So the contract, this is going out. We were looking at an increase of at least $1 million, so we decided to keep the health care inside. This provides medical malpractice insurance for employees. I will point out that in the beginning of the plan, the pricing is better for us as the years go by, the pricing goes up, so we may have to consider options down the road, but for now, this caps exposure for medical malpractice claims to the state $500,000 cap for these types of claims. I would recommend approval of this proposal submitted to us through R&R. I believe also there's a $5,000 fee that is going to be generated out of this in connection with placement of the coverage. That's not reflected on the quote for the coverage, but I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay.
I certainly like to thank Counselor, you, Mr. Augustino, and R&R for bringing this forward. You did mention the escalator expense each year, and there's usually things like inflation, but looks like a $10,000 deductible, and this first year's cost is just a little over $76,000.
And then one question I have is that's just going to be for this, we're approving it just for 1 year?
Yeah, you're approving it for this year.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Then, it'll have renewals going forward.
That's what I thought, yeah.
That we would make choice on at that point, but they're giving us the rates here.
Potential, yeah.
This is a new system, and I think we all have experience enough in the insurance world to know that you have to have what they call an experience ratio. So this will at least have a 1-year ratio going towards, future bidding processes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the reason the premium goes up as you go forward is because they're looking back 2 years. So the further you go forward, the more opportunity for potential claims. So there is a higher experience ratio. Although, knock on wood, we've had a pretty good run this year,
Yeah.
providing the services, so.
Good.
The sheriff and the warden are and your staff is, very well respected and appreciated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve for the grant for the, for the approval for the jail medical malpractice insurance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the Health Department, request approval to apply for a grant to standardized overdose fatality review.
Amy Rupi, Finance Manager for the Department of Health with offices on the 8th and the 9th floor of the County City Building. We are requesting support to apply for a grant that would standardize the overdose fatality review data collection. The amount is $19,641.41.
Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to thank Ms. Rupi and the Health Department for, applying for this grant to help with overdose. Obviously, their Health Department's been working, just as we just complimented the Sheriff's Department and what a good year they're having, the Health Department has been working overtime this year with the pandemic, the economy, and the tension created by both these matters. There was a recent news article about the increasing overdoses in the county.
Yeah, I saw that article.
Which had been a problem for a while, drug use, and this pandemic and the tension of the economy. I actually heard a minister on television yesterday mention that, some of this overdosing and a lot of this tension might be a lack of people going to church because of the pandemic. Some people are not going to church as regularly. Many churches were closed or ordered closed. So, and I even seen an email that, the Health Department might be, because might want to go roll back to a stage 2 for Indiana. The governor's office does that, closing schools and churches, that maybe churches will be given a little more high priority as more necessary for personal and individual needs, fulfilling the soul. So maybe to reduce some tensions and overdoses and depressions and things that are brought about by the pandemic and the other problems. So please share my concerns and comments with Ms. Ruby with the Dr. Fox and Dr. Inez, please.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
A motion to approve for them to apply for the grant to the Standardized Overdose Fatality Review.
Second.
Motion is second. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, request approval to apply for a grant through the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County.
Yes, we are requesting support to apply for a grant through the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County that would allow us to encourage projects that include community development, health and human services, parks, recreation and entertainment, and youth and education.
Sounds good.
Any questions or comments?
Yes, Ms. Rupi, I'm sure this is a good thing, but could you explain your answer to where it says, is there a match for the grant? You wrote, yes, we are working with community partners to secure matching dollars. So is there a dollar amount match? Is there a dollar amount assigned to the grant?
For that, I'm going to ask Robin Vita, the Director of Hope, to answer that question. She is also online, so I'm going to default to her.
Thank
Great.
you.
Yes.
Ms. Robin, please state your name and address for the record.
You bet. Robin Vita, Director of Hope Health Outreach Education, Health Outreach Promotion and Education offices on the 8th and 9th floor of 227 West Jefferson Boulevard. And the matching grant, it's a 100% match. So we would, we are requesting, I believe, $22,000 from the Community Foundation to go towards a birth equity assessment. And we are working with community partners to secure the other $22,000 match.
Thank you for, hopefully the hospitals,
Yep.
maybe some of the larger banks in town will help cover that $22,000.
Most definitely.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I want to know, this is actually something that they have applied for that grant in the past too, correct?
We have not applied
Okay.
to the Community Foundation for this type of project. However, we do receive match dollars for our fetal infant mortality review program.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clearing that. Thank you.
Mhm.
If there are no more questions or comments, is there a motion?
A motion to approve for applying for a grant through the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to Human Resources, request approval of on-site contract for open enrollment PHA and flu shot services.
Good morning, Kim Karkowitz, Human Resource Director, St. Joseph County. Offices at 227 West Jefferson, 7th floor. As we are getting ready for open enrollment, there are definitely things that we look at to have done. One being our personal health assessment that we do to provide employees health information so that they can make sure that they're getting things addressed that might need to be addressed. And providing that along with the flu shots, which is very important this year, as every year, but this year more important than ever, to where we have also in the contract asked them to provide a flu clinic too, so that we could make sure that we're hitting people. A lot of people have asked for flu shots earlier this year, and some may be concerned about getting that done before they're actually being paid. The company that we have used is On-Site Health, and we have used them for the last few years, and they have worked out really well, being able to set up appointments for those and be able to do everything that we would need to as far as the CDC guidelines for that.
Yep.
Any questions or comments?
Thank Kim. Again, another very dedicated, overworked, hardworking county staff member. And this blood draw would be a 12-hour fast?
It is a 12-hour fast. It is going to be the vein puncture because we are concerned about people not going to the doctor throughout this year and making sure that we give them the best panel.
Excellent, thank you.
And I just want to know that, again, it's going to be October 12th to November 25th is the options that people have to go there. Is that correct?
For what?
Said October 12th to the 25th to do this. Is that correct?
So.
That's
we're
the
gonna
flu.
have The flu shots
The
are
flu
going to be
shots.
done during that time.
Right.
Corresponding with our virtual health fair.
Right.
With that, they are still going to be doing the flu shots during the PHA. So that
Right.
additional time that we're pushing forward is just for the flu shots.
Okay.
In case, people were wanting to get it done now instead of, because PHAs are going to probably run through the first week of December.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I'll also comment, some of the feedback we're getting from the local healthcare providers is because of COVID and folks not feeling as comfortable going out, or some of the healthcare systems being a bit overtaxed, people have not been taking care of themselves and some more routine health things. So I know this is going to be an inconvenience for our employees, but I think it's important as we still look to try and maintain the highest quality health we can in St. Joseph County.
I likewise agree with everything Commissioner Stelly just said. And then I noticed here in your report, or the on-sites report, the participation rate of 71.4%. So is that based on last year's testing?
That is.
71.4%. And so obviously the other number, 28.6, chose not to. And then they have to pay higher premiums.
They would have a higher deductible.
Higher deductible.
For our current plan.
For not taking the stitch in time, saving 9. Thank you.
Glad to do this.
If there are no more questions or comments, is there a motion?
Yes, a motion to approve this contract for open enrollment, personal health assessment, and flu shot services.
Second.
Excuse me, get a motion, a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, request approval of dependent eligibility audit service agreement.
So the Human Resource Department, in conjunction with R&R Benefits, are looking to have a dependent eligibility audit completed by BMI Audit Services. The audit will provide a third-party review of our dependent verifications to follow up with reporting for open enrollment for 2021. This is something that we do periodically just to make sure that we are having the verifications successfully completed for dependents, and that the dependents that are eligible are on plan. With that, this could be a savings for the health plan if we find that there were some things that were missed. So this is going to be helping us get a good audit done under our dependents, and then also allow that good information to be fed into the ERP too, as we are getting ready to implement that.
And Kim, just for the mechanics of it, it is actually 2 agreements, an agreement for the audit services and one for the business associate agreement.
Well, the business agreement is because we are dealing with personal health information, we have to have that particular one.
So 2 agreements.
Two agreements, but they have to have the one to be able to do the other.
Right. So I'm sure we could vote on both agreements in one vote. Counselor, you're fine with that?
I'm perfectly fine with that, Dave.
Thank you, Counselor. And Kim, again, thank you to you and R&R for, again, all the great work you do to shave costs in our healthcare expenses, but yet provide better quality healthcare to our staff. And it's great that we do these things, and I appreciate all you do. Has there been any talk or any kind of study to see if we would have offer an employee benefit such as paid maternity leave for both mother and father? Has there been any kind of studies of that? That seems that'd be good, less stress on the mother and father, which would improve their long-term health, and then allow the probably healthier child. You know, I'm sure that somewhere there's a cost ratio, or how many babies our staff have born a year.
Well, currently, under, say, a maternity leave, both mother and father would have the capabilities of taking FMLA,
Right.
which would be up to 12 weeks of job protected leave, but it does not do anything with the pay.
It does not pay. So it would be good if maybe we could offer some pay. I'm sure there's somewhere there's a formula that, maybe can be looked at. I know on the top of the million other things you guys do, or R&R, if they're on the phone listening, that's,
So that is something that we can look at, but then again, that would be something that we would definitely have to get council,
For sure.
involved with,
For
because
sure.
It would be additional benefit time paid out.
Sure, it's definitely not something that happened today, but I'm sure somewhere there could be a justification that in the long term, it probably is more effective and it's better for our staff, just an idea.
I will put that on my agenda for you.
Thank you. Did mention it to the R&R folks, if they haven't heard it. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion?
A motion to approve the dependent eligibility audit service agreement with BMI.
Both agreements. Second.
Both.
We have a motion, a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Kim, and thank you, R&R, for all your great work on both of these projects. Moving on to maintenance, request approval of contract with Aramark.
Good morning. With Peter St. Joe County Maintenance Department at the lower level. It's just a small contract for the County Police Communication Center on Lisa Drive. It's a contract for
Aramark.
Thank you very kindly for bringing this forward and looking at the things that might have fall through the cracks of other departments or other people who have been working on this Lathrop project. I have not supported a single Lathrop expenditure, but I will support this one.
Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve this contract with Aramark for the three-year floor mat contract.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to PSAP, request approval of renewal of contract with Vertiv.
Mr. Schultz, are you online?
Good morning.
Anybody?
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Sorry, I had to unmute. This is a contract with Veritiv that,
Name and address for the record.
oh, you're right. Sorry. 58266 Downey Avenue. This is a renewal contract with Veritiv for our battery backups. So although we're on generator backup, there's also a redundant battery backup. This requires an annual maintenance and service. This is a renewal of the contract for both the primary site and the backup site.
Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Schultz, for keeping track of this. We certainly don't want to find it one day when we need them that the batteries should have been changed 5 years ago. So way to keep on top of things.
Thank you.
If there are no more questions or comments, is there a motion?
A motion to approve the renewal of the contract with Vertiv.
Second.
Okay.
Motion is second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to infrastructure planning and growth. First item is the consent agenda. And I will note we have a request approval of traffic regulatory ordinance for Highfield Court, Cobblestone Square Drive, etc. And no engine compression brakes along State Road 2 near Quince Road. Are there any questions or comments regarding these items?
Yes, I'm going to ask Engineer Madam Clark. Sorry I didn't ask you this earlier, Jessica. We talked about other matters. Regarding the no engine brake compression, that's generally at the request of citizens because they don't like the noise. And that area of road, there's just heavy traffic and a lot of truck traffic. And the stoplight at Quince Road is like the only light, all the way to if you go west, all the way to, State Road 20. And going the other direction east, all the way to Mayflower Road. So trucks are traveling at a great deal of speed, and maybe sometimes are just surprised, oh, there's a stoplight here, if they're not familiar with the territory. If truckers or tourists have not driven this route before, and so they might hit, the truck will hit their brakes. So with knowing that that's like the only stoplight there, and the heavy traffic, which has gotten worse ever since the toll road raised their fees a few years ago, is it safer? Is this safer? I want to know that this is safer. I care more about the safety of the drivers than the residents hearing noise of brakes.
So actually, NDOT, this intersection is controlled or under their jurisdiction, and they are actually this week performing a road safety audit at that intersection. We'll be making recommendations based on other intersection control or other safety improvements that they would then install at this location. Per state code and the local ordinance, for these signs to be erected, as NDOT has supported and suggested, the local, we have to establish this ordinance per our county code, and then we install the signs for this location. So this is part of that road safety audit. It's not the only measure being considered as the location, but it's the action that, from a county side, that we have to take.
So you believe it would make it safer?
It is part of a group of countermeasures that lead to safety events.
And you said there's an audit going on now, or this, okay. And I can't recall exactly, are there rumble strips on State Road 2 anywhere near there? Okay. All right, so if you say it's safer, I'm gonna trust you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
A motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, request approval of contract B 37351 Walnut Road over Yellow Bank Creek Bridge replacement change order number 2, 3, and 4.
Jessica Clark, County Engineer, Department of Infrastructure Planning and Growth, offices on the 11th floor of this building. Before you are our change orders 2, 3, and 4 for our Walnut Road Federal Lane Bridge replacement project. The overall change results in a reduction of $16,370.17 in the original contract, with a revised contract amount of $918,722 and I believe 84 cents.
Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Yes, a motion to approve this contract change, replacement change order number 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
We have a motion to second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Lastly, request approval of Law Building MACOG space planning and probable cost.
Good morning, Commissioners. Frank Tortilla, Department of Infrastructure Planning and Growth, with offices on the 7th and 11th floors of this building. Before you is a proposal with Creative Design Solutions to do some preliminary work and estimate the cost of what it would take to move our offices to be in a combined space on the 2nd floor of the law building across the street. We do up to the 3rd floor where the Sheriff's Detective Bureau vacated. The 2nd floor has been vacant mostly since the CSAT lab was brought into this building, and then expands the MACOG offices to take all of the 11th floor building. To speak into the needs for this, James Turnwell, who's the Executive Director of MACOG, as well as the County Surveyor John McNamara, are here to speak on behalf of this.
John McNamara, County Surveyor. I was reluctantly involved in the infrastructure planning and growth formation because I didn't think we work on 2 different floors. And, we said, well, we're gonna eventually get on 1 floor altogether. And I'm still waiting for that. While I'm still alive, I would like to see that happen. I urge you to approve this expenditure, which would allow us to at least see what the heck it's gonna cost us to go across the street. We need to be together in order for it to get really efficient. I'm not gonna beat this thing to death, but basically, I would urge you to approve this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is James Turnwald. I'm the Executive Director with Michiana Area Council of Governments, with offices on the 11th floor of this building. This year, MACOG is proudly celebrating 50 years of serving the region, and we've always appreciated the partnership with St. Joseph County and the Board of Commissioners. Based on our records, St. Joseph County has provided MACOG with temporary space originally on the 7th floor back in 1971, and by 1976, we were utilizing the entire west half of the 11th floor. Over the last few years, we have been expressing the need for additional space based on the growing needs of our organization. Right now, we have no closed-door office spaces where we can have a Zoom meeting without everyone hearing, as well as then just expanding staff. We are currently hiring 1 staff member and have 2 staff positions open, and I have no open desk spaces for them right now. So based on the growing needs of our organization, we are asking to potentially occupy the entire 11th floor. And just as a reminder, MACOG is a rent payer. We have a rent agreement with the Board of Commissioners, and if we acquired more space, we would happily renegotiate that contract to pay for more space. We look forward to the next 50 years and continuing our partnership with St. Joseph County and the Board of Commissioners. I'd ask that you approve this expenditure to look at the feasibility and cost to look at this expansion for MACOG. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll also remind the board and all those in attendance that this was part of a conversation from 2 or 3 years ago when we had envisioned the restructuring of infrastructure planning and growth that would be located in the law building across the street, but for financial reasons that was unable to be done. So now we're taking another look at it. And one of the other concerns we had was that MACOG was outgrowing the space they had, and we want to make sure we keep them. I think they're a tremendous asset to St. Joseph County, having them in such close proximity, if not the same building. So I think these were very important reasons why we are looking to move forward with this. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to thank Mr. Turnwald for coming and expressing his concerns. And certainly, I highly value the very honorable surveyor, Mr. McNamara's comments. But I've never been supportive of the consolidation, and I don't plan on being supportive now. This contract is it says to determine costs. Commissioner Castelli referenced the meeting that we started a couple of years ago. At those meetings, we were given some preliminary costs. And since then, we've also been giving a study, I believe Frank had done on the furniture costs. And so to spend money that this county just doesn't seem to have, this county has financial problems, and it's going to have much more financial problems in the next few years with the CODIT, people not working, not paying income taxes, fuel taxes down. We're probably not going to have money for construction for a few years. So it just doesn't make sense to do something that was never sensible in the past. I think the surveyor's office, you said the term I think you used was reluctantly involved. Reluctantly doesn't sound like a favorable term, like you wanted to be involved. But that whatever your definition of reluctant is your own. I think that your office, has its own powers and rights, should be its own separate department, as it should be, just as any other elected official, auditor, treasurer, surveyor, recorder, clerk, sheriff, prosecutor, has their own budget, their own staff, and their own space. So, I'm reluctant, I was reluctant then, and I'm still reluctant. And I'm still gonna do what I think is right, and that is not spend money or try to consolidate government because it pleases somebody. When the founding fathers created this state, they separated the various branches for reasons. And again, we just don't have the money to spend. And from a commissioner's point of view, for the 40 or 52 years this building's been here, the commissioners and the engineers have been on the same floor because they work together. Now with this, a few years ago with this consolidation, currently the engineers are still on the 7th floor, thank God. But when if they were to be moved across the street, there would be much less interaction with the commissioners. They would not have the great communication ability we have now. The Economic Development Department didn't even exist, 5 or 6 years ago? And the last few years, the budget has just been growing and growing and growing. And by most taxpayers' decisions, with like what I call the reckless spending in the IEC and other areas, most citizens don't appreciate the growth that it's had. So I will not support this. My apologies to the Honorable Auditor. Mr. Turnwall, MACOG, I support MACOG. In fact, when we redid our website, I wanted to keep our website with you, where it was free as a MACOG service, instead of paying some designer $120,000, plus I think we're paying $20,000 a year in maintenance fees. So I very much do respect and appreciate MACOG. Sandy Senor was a great developer. That's why it's been here, and that's why it's grown, because what a great leader she's been for all those years. So I could talk longer, but I won't. I'll just say, and I love Purdue Extension. I wanted them moved across the street. And I think they do use although it's been reported that a lot of that floor is vacant, I think they do use a lot of that floor space. For a few years, they were unable to because of CSAP was still storing a lot of their furniture and equipment in some of the rooms. And for a while, there was an issue of the carpeting and how sanitary the area was, because from like blood draws and people vomiting, the carpet, some of the departments were very unsanitary, some of the rooms and areas there. So I am a big fan and will always be a big fan of Purdue Extension. And there was talk a few years ago when this whole thing started to move Purdue Extension out to the fairgrounds.
Absolutely.
Which was something that I proposed more than 5 years ago. And then it was LaPorte County who copied the model I proposed. So, Purdue Extension to the 3rd floor. What happened to the plan to move it to the fairgrounds? So again, there's just a lot of moving parts, a lot of money being spent, and I don't see the citizens being served. I don't see the staff being served.
It will be.
And again, it would be a mistake to move the engineering department and the surveying department off the 7th floor.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, a motion to approve the law building MACOG space planning and for the probable cost.
Second. We have a motion, a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 2-1. Thank you all. Moving on to old business, seeing none. Public comments. Are there any public comments?
None, Andy.
All right. Hearing that, a motion to recess is in order.
So moved.
Moved.
Motion a second. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Tough luck. We are recessed. Have good days, everyone.
You too, hon.
Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you, Mr. Hammond.